There is no name change that is happening. The name has always remained, ladies and gentlemen. It's just that there will be use of Bharat more prominently. But it's not a recent phenomenon. It's been happening under Prime Minister Narendra Modi over the last 9 years, slowly, steadily and constantly. And more importantly, with G20, the logo itself says G20 Bharat India 2023 India. That's what it says. We'll get you those details too. But more importantly, the Sanatan roots, the roots that we have had steeped in our culture, our civilizational ethos. This is something Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said and repeated and focused on multiple times in the past. It's not just a Sangh agenda. It's very core to people like Prime Minister Narendra Modi who believe that we need to shed our colonial mindset and we need to embrace Bharat in totality. And this was part of the Constituent Assembly debates too. There were many former congressmen at that time, part of the entire founding construct of Bharat, who said this is what we want. It should be Bharat. It is not India that is Bharat. It is Bharat, which you want to call as India. The resolution that was passed, and this has also been put out by the BJP today, the resolution that was passed on the 16th of September and then thereafter mooted on the 16th of September by Shyama Prasad Mukherjee and then thereafter passed on the 18th of September 1949, said that India will always be Bharat. And Bharat is the name. That is something that was decided unanimously. Anyways, let's get into this entire story, that it's not about Bharat versus India or whether or not Sanatan Dharma should be eradicated. The reality is the message at the G20 Leadership Summit is loud and clear. This is a rising Bharat with very, very deep roots in its Sanatan culture. That's what it is. It was on the 75th Independence Day that PM Narendra Modi made the Panch Pran, or the 5 pledges to make India a developed nation by 2047. One was the goal of a Viksit Bharat, or a developed India. Erase the signs of a colonial mindset, taking pride in our heritage, strength of our unity, sense of duty among citizens, including chief ministers and the Prime Minister. Now, here's how the Prime Minister is ensuring that Bharat is rising with its Sanatan roots. Chandrayaan 3's landing point is called Shiv Shakti. It symbolizes Bharat's strength and service, and of course the 2 spins, Shiva and Shakti. Understanding this, which has been mentioned in our Vedas, Kartavya Path, spirit of ownership and empowerment, and once again a sense of duty. It's called Kartavya Path. Why? Because it's our duty to the country, nation first. Public ownership and of course empowerment. In September 2022, King George V was replaced by the one and only Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, and that statue seen as a case of India reclaiming its history and shedding a part of its colonial past and no longer shirking from giving the credit where it's due. Of course, the new Indianized, if you were to say, inspired by Chhatrapati Shivaji, rising Bharat with Sanatan roots, and this was the naval ensign that was released in September 22. It saw the colonial St. George's cross being replaced with a blue octagonal shape encompassing the national emblem, inspired by the royal seal of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. Prime Minister said the revamp had taken off the traces of slavery. Now, during 2022 Republic Day, the beating retreat ceremony concluding peace, Abide With Me, was replaced by Ae Mere Watan Ke logo that had been sung in the past by Lata Mangeshkar. Bharat Mandapam. Let's try and understand. Bharat Mandapam, the G20 venue, will showcase India's culture and heritage. And it is a symbolic shift towards this entire awakening. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that the motto, it's steeped with our Sanatan roots. It comes from our scriptures, where the theme itself is global family, one world, one earth, one family, one future. The theme is drawn from the ancient Sanskrit text, of the Maha Upanishad. Essentially, the theme affirms the value of a life, human, animal, plant, and microorganism, and their interconnectedness on Prithvi, that is Earth, and of course the entire universe, Brahmanda. Bharat Mandapam is referred to as the culture corridor. It will represent Bharat's heritage and culture to the world. The word Mandapam itself is from the Anugrah Mandapam in Karnataka, which was supposed to be one of the oldest forms where people would converge, debate, discuss, engage, and that is where it has been inspired from, the word itself. The Nataraja statue that adorns the entry, the 28 feet largest ever Nataraja statue made of Ashtadhatu and weighing about 18 tons, stands as a testament to India's age-old artistry, traditions, and of course, the primeval Lord or God who is revered across the country, Shiva, Nataraja, dance of the universe. That's what it symbolifies. Renowned sculptor Radhakrishnan Stapati from Swamimalai in Tamil Nadu and his team completing this sculpture in a record 7 months. Bharat Mandapam's shape is inspired by a conch shell known as Shankha in Sanskrit. It is a symbol of purity, brilliance and auspiciousness. And of course, in Sanatan Prathar and Hinduism, the sound from the conch is associated with the sacred syllable or the universal hum, Om, which is believed to be the first sound of creation and marks the beginning of good work or of a good endeavor. So that's the story. And not just Bharat Mandapam, but the new Sansad, which will host its first session from the 19th of September, is also a portal of Bharat's ethos. The new Sansad has a triangular shape and it reflects the sacred geometry in various religions. That's the new Sansad. Okay, the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, national symbols as themes of interiors, and of course, while the Lok Sabha is peacock themed, the Rajya Sabha is inspired by the national flower, Padma or lotus. Sengol is the symbol of the divine right. It is a symbol of the transfer of power from the British regime into the hands of the Indians, but it also has its roots in Rajadharma. And the fact that this would ensure that kings rule with keeping the welfare of society and its praja as paramount. The gateway installations feature Garud, the eagle, Gaj, the elephant, Ashwa, the horse, Magar, the crocodile, Hans, the swan, and Shardul, the mythological creature which represents nature, honor, and power. The public entrances lead to 3 galleries. First, the Sangeet Gallery, which exhibits traditions of Bharat. Secondly, the Sthapatya Gallery, which depicts the architectural heritage. And lastly, the Shilpa Gallery, which showcases handicraft traditions. So, without any doubts, the message to the world via the G20 Summit, Leadership Summit at the Bharat Mandapam is that this is a rising Bharat steeped in its Sanatan roots. Now, is there any doubt? Is there any point in fighting over whether it is Bharat or India or whether Sanatan Dharma will be eradicated when we are telling the world this is going to be our roots and this is what we are proud of? Let's go across to our guests this evening. We have Dushyant Sridhar, Tehseen Poonawalla with us, Pawan Verma ji, author and former MP with us after a while here on the right stand. Good to have you, sir. And also we have Aparajita Sarangi, Lok Sabha MP and national spokesperson of the BJP. Namaste and Jai Hind to all of you. Pawan Verma ji, is the opposition overall barking up the wrong tree altogether? Because this government's message is very clear. No matter what you say, this is what you are doing. We are showing it to the whole world.
No, showcasing Indian culture using the G20 summit is, I think, laudable. And I have always maintained that post-colonial societies become politically independent, but the legacy of colonialism, which is the colonization of the mind, takes decades to erase. I have a book on this subject called Becoming Indian, The Unfinished Revolution of Culture and Identity, and also later The Great Hindu Civilization. So therefore, reclaiming our own culture and its roots and its antiquity and its richness and its profundity of thought is something that we need to do, and I'm glad that process has begun. As far as Sanatan Dharma is concerned, there is no doubt that Sanatan means eternal, and Hinduism or Sanatan is eternal essentially because of the profundity of thought, the grandeur and scale of the cosmic inquiry, and the depth of thinking. It's what I call Maulik Soch, the power of
Ji.
original thought.
Ji.
Within Sanatan, and there are two caveats I am putting. Within Sanatan, what is eternal needs to be strengthened, and what has been fossilized needs to be jettisoned in the terms of many social evils which got the sanctity by the misuse of religion, like caste system or the gender discrimination. These must go, and our great luminaries like Baba Saheb Ambedkar, Mahatma Gandhi, Jyotibai Phule, and of course Veer Savarkar himself wrote about the urgent need for reform within Hinduism. So that is one aspect, and the second aspect is Sanatan also includes inclusion. You see, you cited Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that in itself stands for inclusion and not exclusion. You also have the great Mahavakya, Ano Badra Kritivo Yantu Vishwata. Let good thoughts flow from all directions. So what I am trying to stress is that in restoring our own rich tradition and culture, we should also be inclusive enough to recognize the fact that India is a multicultural, multilingual and plural country, and that there are many religions here which are also part of the great Indian cultural tradition.
They have, and they continue to be, because even at the times of the Bhagavad Gita, Pavanji, Krishna has said that there are many dharmas, many devatas, many formats, but eventually it all comes to me. So even at that time there were multiple
Ekam vipraha bahuda
vadanti. So that is also something which is part of our scriptures. And so if there were dharmas then, or if there were different faiths, then there are different faiths even today. It's the confluence of this, and there is one cultural ethos, and I think that's what connects all of us. Those who do not accept that, that's where the issue is. The connectivity, the connection here is that we all the faiths which are prevalent here believed in the eternal existence of the Jivatma. That means multiple life systems. You transcend, and the residue is your karma. And when there are thought processes which do not agree with that, that's when the problem arises. All those who embrace the thought process, they have all lived. They may have had their conflicts, but eventually there was confluence and there was consensus. But Aparajita ji, Pawan Verma ji's message is this government being inclusive in its approach? Is it really celebrating multiculturalism and diversity, or is it purely focusing on one particular quote-unquote religious angle with the Hindutva agenda?
We are Sarvasparshi or Sarvasamaveshi. Had we not been that, had we not been advocating Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas or Sabka Prayas, I don't think Honorable Prime Minister and his government would have got the blessings of so many people across the country. I think you look at any scheme of the government of PM Modi, whether it be PMAY, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, or the water supply system being laid down everywhere under the Jal Jeevan mission, or the gas cylinder provisioning, or any other program. Aren't we looking at the eligibility of the person based on certain criteria given on the scheme, and without looking at race, caste, creed, everybody who is eligible is getting the benefit under the scheme? Is anybody in the country at this juncture who can say no? The government of Prime Minister Modi is actually differentiating between one person and the other. Absolutely wrong. We are aware of the fact that there is absolutely no question of any kind of partisan approach of the government. We want to take everybody together, and that is why Prime Minister Modi has been instructing all of us always that we have to work for everybody. And Antyodaya is the spirit which is guiding us. Anybody who is standing last in the line should be actually, brought forward. We have to hold his or her hand and ensure that he or she comes forward. And at that point of time, we don't look at race, caste or creed. So I think to say that this particular government in the past 9 years have been partisan in its approach is far from the truth. And
But
when we
this
talk
entire,
of
but this
Sanatan
entire,
Dharma,
yeah, but this
Yeah.
entire movement in in Tamil
Yeah,
Nadu,
yeah.
which is now finding voices among Dalit leaders in Karnataka, Aparajita ji, is there with the explanation. They may have used the term Sanatan Dharma, but they've equated it with Hinduism. That's what the ideologue of the Dravidar Kadagam said and did, Veeramani, before Udayanidhi Stalin stands there and speaks. And there he says, we want to eradicate Sanatan Dharma. And then the explanation given by the DMK, who refused to participate in debates today, we had sent them invites, they are not participating. But they said that they are tackling and they are attacking the caste system, ma'am. That you are practicing casteist attitude.
See, I tell you, please look at whatever happened in Tamil Nadu in that conference, rather in Chennai. The conference was titled Sanatan Abolition Conference, right? Sanatan Abolition Conference, I underscore, which was attended by Sri Udayanidhi ji. And what did he say? Did he make a very responsible statement? He actually ridiculed Sanatan Dharma. He ridiculed 110 crore Hindus in Bharat. So what I am wanting to say is, how can he say that we want the complete uprooting of Sanatan Dharma? Who has authorized him? How can he speak like that? How can he, hurt the sentiments of hundreds and thousands and crores of Hindus? He just cannot do that. He doesn't have that kind of, the authority. And they're all part of INDIA. All these people who were there, who were part of the conference, the participants, are all part of INDIA. An unfortunate thing is, nobody, neither Rahul Gandhi, nor Mr. Kharge, nor anybody else, nor Akhilesh Yadav ji, who is a Hanuman Bhakt, nor Mamta Banerjee, she did so very faintly. They have not come out openly and criticized or kind of, admonished Udayanidhi. Udayanidhi should have been admonished. There should have been an explanation called for. And in fact, DMK should have apologized before the nation. And in fact, if you look at the whole thing, INDIA should have apologized. How can they think of Judega Bharat?
But please
when
understand.
a person, when a member of the community, when a member of the group talks in that line.
No, but
Yes.
what I am trying to tell you, ma'am, is that Mr. Stalin may have said what he has said, and we may not. A lot of people will disagree. Or a lot of people would encourage him to read our scriptures a little more before truly understand what Sanatan Dharma means when they make that statement. But fact is that there is a group of people who believes this to be true. Why would Mr. Stalin say, Udayanidhi say this, if he is not going to get political traction or purchase, if he doesn't feel that it is going to get him purchase in Tamil Nadu? And this is at a time when Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the government currently at the center is celebrating Tamil culture. You have taken Sangam literature and you have taken Tamil literature all the way even to Somnath.
Absolutely.
To try and revive the roots. You have done the Kashi Tamil Sangamam. Prime Minister himself is trying to quote Thirukural and Subramaniam Bharati. At this time, and you have the Congress President's son, Priyank Kharge, trying to justify this. So somewhere something is going wrong, ma'am. You are telling the world we are rising based on our roots, which is in Sanatan. But you have prominent people in the
that's
south
the
of
whole
India
thing.
who are saying, no, you have to eradicate it. Ji.
See, I am linking the whole thing to the entire mindset of the people who are members of INDIA. Don't you see a pattern? Don't you see a design? This is indeed political to a great extent. We are talking about 110 crore Hindus, and also we are talking of another set of 40 crore people. We have about 140 crore population in the country. The government of India, under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi, thinks and talks and works for all these people. 110 plus 40. No, there is absolutely no question of differentiation or partisan approach. No prejudice at all. We have always been saying Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. And at this juncture, there are people like Udayanidhi and there are friends like Priyank Kharge who have come out into the open and who have actually kind of, brought down.
I'm just going to park this thought. I'll come back to you, ma'am. I have to be fair to Tehseen Poonawalla and Dushyant Sridhar, who've been patiently listening. And Pawan Verma ji also wanted to come back, so I'll go back to them. But yes, Tehseen Poonawalla, your thoughts. The reality, Tehseen, is the BJP has no footprint in Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu is one of the growth engines of Bharat. The big Foxconn is setting up shop in Tamil Nadu. Political narrative in Tamil Nadu is eradicate Sanatan Dharma. The political narrative at the center is our roots are Sanatan Dharma.
Anand, at the onset, Radhe Radhe to you, to all fellow panelists and to all your viewers, and a very happy Janmashtami to everybody.
Greetings to you too. Ji.
Thank you so much. It's unfortunate that we are stuck in a debate like this, because my views on this are absolutely clear. Whatever be our point of view or our way of life, nobody has the right, nobody, not even Mr. Stalin, not even Mr. Kharge, the party that I support, or Mr. Karti Chidambaram, to call any way of life, compare them to mosquitoes or malaria or corona, and speak for eradication. That's simply dehumanizing. As I've said in my tweet earlier, suppose the same debate hypothetically was about burqa, just hypothetically, and you say, look, everybody is a mosquito and must be eradicated. That's not acceptable. You cannot speak like this about any way of life. Should there be debate and reforms on every way of life? On every way of life, yes. Should we all evolve? Yes, we must evolve with the times. And the fact of the matter is, in this great land of ours, which we all bow down before, the most reforms have been seen in the Hindu religion. For example, we're celebrating Janmashtami. Lord Krishna was not born as a Brahmin. They say Lord Ram we worship, who's a Kshatriya, born as a Kshatriya, who killed Ravan, who was born as a Brahmin. So let's also accept the fact that Hinduism has seen the greatest reform in our country. So let's also look at that and not let's go about calling people.
Tehseen, sorry to interrupt. Sorry to interrupt. But the fact is, you took the names of Krishna, Rama and Ravana. None of them were born Brahmins, or none of them assumed the role. When they were pursuing education, they were Brahmins because they were pursuing knowledge. When one of them decided to pick up weapons, then they became warriors, they became Kshatriya. It was because of their ability and their actions, sir, not because of their birth at all. And that is exactly very clearly defined in our scriptures, that your varna, not caste, your varna is always defined by your ability and action, guna and karma. So let's be very clear there. So when it was required for them to fight, they fought. When it was required them to study, they studied. Yes, Tehseen, please, complete.
Exactly, and that's what I'm trying to say. And yet we worship Rama and Krishna, who, not because of their birth, but because of their actions, because of their karma, as you said in your opening introduction, for destroying evil. So that is what this great land is about. But there is a larger problem that we must speak about when the Honourable Member of Parliament speaks about Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas. The problem out here is, and I think this is where the INDIA alliances fail to articulate, and I'll come to the political impact of it later on. The people in Manipur, were they part of India, Bharat? Were they not part of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas? Because just 3 days ago, the Indian Army, my Indian Army is there, they have never seen an unprecedented situation in Manipur of this sort. What are we celebrating? I'm very glad that we are having this amazing G20 conference in Delhi. I'm super happy. But in Manipur, 50,000 of our fellow Indians, Bharatiyas, Sabka Saath have been displaced, and the Indian Army says the Manipur police is not cooperating. Just now, in the same capital of Delhi, where this amazing G20 summit is happening, wrestlers who my Honourable Prime Minister said were part of his family have accused a sitting BJP MP of sexual molestation. The Delhi police agrees to it, yet he has not been arrested. Ajay Mishra, Teni's son, mowed down farmers, he continues to be a Home Minister. Look, there are a lot of issues which this government should have been taken on task on, and I completely accept the political point. INDIA at some issues is losing the political plot. The government throws a bait, they fall into it, they get into these superficial debates, India, Bharat, abusing Sanatan Dharma. None of this is required. You've got to get this government on the mat, because making this government lose in 2024 is the only dharmic thing to do to take India forward.
If the vision is to make the current government lose, then there is no vision, sir. The vision has to be, how are you going to take India forward better than what's being done. Please,
absolutely.
So that's where it is. Right now, the conversation I'm wanting to have is, while there are certain people who are wanting to eradicate Sanatan Dharma, we are telling the world this is the future. The future is with a higher consciousness that is finding in our own civilizational roots, because when Bharat rises, developing nations will rise, and 2/3 of the GDP in the next 2 decades is going to be contributed by nations like Bharat and the others, part of the Africa Union, part of the ASEAN nations, part of the global south. Dushyant, Sridhar, please tell me, have we got it right when we are showing to the world we are proud of our culture, our civilizational ethos? It's not something that our history is just 600 years old, it's more than 6,000 years old. Is that the message we are sending to the world loud and clear? Thank you for your patience and regret the delay in coming to you. Thank you, sir.
That's okay. Namaskaram. Krishna was born in the state of Uttar Pradesh in Mathura. He grew up in Vrindavanam, Govardhanam, and then he went to Dwaraka and Gujarat. And the Murti that he worshipped is in Guruvayur, and I'm speaking live from Guruvayur today. So on this Janmashtami. So Krishna has traveled to all states. That said, while conveying my wishes to all of you, and you did mention about the salient features of the G20 meeting and the mandapam that has all the folk and the classical arts artifacts under one umbrella, it's very commendable. That on one side, Anand, you did also speak about a colonial hangover. Interestingly, all of us are speaking in the language English, and the language English is of the English. So our opposition or our critiquing of the process is not with respect to any of the language or any particular race or community. There is a saying in Sanskritam, Bhasha Geetit Prashasta Bhagavati Vachanat Rajavachopacharat. Language be any, the content, the quintessence matters a lot. So we are not against the language. We are not against the British or the Britishers. What we are against is their thought process on. We have to look into it very carefully. For example, if I were to sport an Urdhva Pundram, the Tilakam that I do, some of them may feel for a debate like this, why should he come? Because that's my culture. I am not hurting you physically. The moment I start homogenizing the process, stating that I should not put a tilakam and all of that, that becomes a hangover of the colonial past. So a person who's dressed in pants doesn't have to relinquish his pants, but a person in dhoti should not be looked down upon. That is a hangover of the colonial past. So accept the person the way they are. Respect the culture from where they come. That is the essence of Sanatana Dharma. That said, I would just like to allocate a few minutes for the issue in Tamil Nadu, Anand. With respect to Sanatana Dharma, the word Sanatana means eternity, and you continue. See, that continuation is very, very important in the word Sanatana. That said, it's been a very, very orchestrated, malicious, vicious approach to always associate Sanatana Dharma with superstition. This is not what Udaynidhi has spoken today. I would not blame him at all. This is what his ideologue Periyar did. See, if their thought is, okay, we should end the discrimination in the Varnas, they would do it like Bhagavad Ramanujacharya, who did 1,000 years back, by bringing all the people together and bringing a positivity in them, stating that we are all Jivatmas, we just differ by bodies, we are all children of God. But right from 1940s and 50s, putting a chappal mala around Rama, calling Sita a prostitute, breaking Ganesha idols, and all of this I'm speaking is fully with evidence. Calling Tirukkural as something that is there on the platter as feces or stools, and then referring to Silappadigaram, one of the revered Tamil texts, as something that has been coming from Iran and it's an Aryan invasion theory. And then Periyar made this, and now they will always say, no, we are not against Shaivism and Vaishnavism. Periyar made it very clear, given an option, I will throw a bomb on the Chidambaram temple and Srirangam temple. So tell me, if all of this, now they are telling, no, Sanatana Dharma, in my opinion, is Varnashrama Dharma. To say it is your opinion, you should quote a reference. In Kishkindhakantam, Tyaktva Dharmam Sanatanam is referred to as the speaking of the truth. In Mahabharatam, Krishnam Dharmam Sanatanam talks about Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga, which is the truth. Satyam Bruyat, Priyam Bruyat, Yeshaha Dharmaha Sanatanaha, speak the truth. How are these ideals related to Varnashrama Dharma? And very intelligently they have tried to do. So one thing, Anand, one thing which is very special about Sanatana Dharma is, despite them giving calls to bomb temples and cut Janeyus, still 80% of the population trusts the government. That is the power of Sanatana Dharma, where we don't even give calls for their destruction or curse them. We still feel there is still a chance for them to amend themselves. This is the greatness of Sanatana Dharma. If not so, if they were so strong about their ideology, Anand, very honestly, which is there in the public media, it is the same wife of the Honorable Chief Minister Stalin, Durga Stalin ji, who goes temple after temple. When she herself is not convinced about the Dravidian ideology, why will she go temple after temple? So my thought is not to attack any individual. but do not blame any religion. You can say that one or two practices could be changed. These are the reforms that need to be brought. That is absolutely fine.
Right.
But to call abrogate, saying that they have to be eradicated, are these the words to be used? See, for example, Anand, last one point.
Ji.
If I personally, I don't belong to the Islam religion, but if I say that burqa system in Islam is what I consider as Islam and thereby Islam should be eradicated, will the world tolerate? I'll get calls of blasphemy and I'll be killed.
Yeah.
There are many practices, there are many beliefs in Islam. There is one belief on which I have a view. So I need, probably if asked, Mr. Udayanidhi Stalin publicly has stated on many platforms that I'm a Christian. So if he's a Christian, he may have to bring reforms in Christianity, not in Sanatana Dharma. One. And second thing, if I feel that there are certain practices in every religion that could be changed, then what I have to simply do is I have to just call out those practices. I cannot call for the entire religion to be eradicated. So this is my point.
Well said, Dushyant Sridhar. Pawanji had a point to make. Pawanji, yes, sir.
I have a point as well.
You know, very quickly, Anand, the fact of the matter is that the language used by Udayanidhi Stalin was unpardonable linguistic excess, highly insensitive and inflammatory. So I have no hesitation in condemning anyone who condemns an entire religious and spiritual tradition as mosquitoes, corona, dengue and so on and so forth. Having said that and accepted it, I want to say that there is a context of the entire political evolution or the evolution of politics in Tamil Nadu, as one of the panelists referred to.
Ji.
E.V. Ramaswamy Periyar in 1925 founded the Self-Respect Party, which was anti-religion. He himself was an atheist and he was a crusader for social reform, in particular caste discrimination and gender disparity. From this party, another party joined called the Justice Party, of which again Periyar was a member, to form, as you said, Dravidar Kazhagam. That party in 1948 split into the AIDMK and the DMK. So the tradition of being against religion for the social evils which a Brahmanical priestly class has nurtured and perpetuated and misused religion for is the motivation of Tamil politics. I don't need to castigate Tamil politicians as a whole or that state. It's a wonderfully rich cultural state and perhaps has more of Hinduism than any other state. I mean, look at the temples and look at the devotional fervor in them. So let's accept that. But having said that, I think the key point is not to jettison Sanatana. I have written the Great Hindu Civilization, 400-page book on what the greatness of that civilization is. But at the same time, let's not over-glorify everything about it and overlook what are its real shortcomings. I mean, let me give you one example. Veer Savarkar. Veer Savarkar wrote the polemic in 1923 on Hindu Rashtra. But do people know that he wrote far more on social reform of Hinduism? He called them the 7 shackles or fetters. He said Vedokta Bandi, the slavery of only the Brahmanical class having access to the Vedas. He spoke of Vyavasai Bandi. He said any restrictions on any individual to follow the right of profession. He spoke of Sparsh Bandi, the evil of untouchability. He spoke of Roti Bandi, the evil of the restraints placed on interdining. And he spoke of Beti Bandi, where intercaste marriages were not allowed. These are not sanctioned by Hindu philosophy.
Correct, they are not.
Which is the greatest pillar of Sanatana Dharma. So therefore, I think we need to all also concentrate.
But Pawanji, the point is, sir, those who want to talk about reforms, should talk about reforms across the board. they should not just highlight one particular aspect of society. The Abrahamical faiths have got far more elitism and casteism and so many more misinterpretations.
Sir, we are
what the
talking
actual
of
scriptures-
Hinduism.
No, so
we are talking of Hinduism.
I'm saying, no, I'm talking about politically these leaders. Neri, what I'm saying, Pawanji, is that political leaders, like parties of the Dravidar Kargam or offshoots of it, are those who follow that ideology, never criticize the Abrahamic faiths or the non-Hindu faiths. They targeted only one particular section, and that is wrong. If you are a reformist, you should call everything that's wrong in society across and work towards reformation of all. I'm way over on the show tonight, Tehseen. I'm sorry I cannot come back to you. Thank you very much. You got to take a very short break.